For some reason, your baby falls asleep whenever reggaeton plays on YouTube Music. Strange? Maybe. But you're thankful for whatever puts your baby to sleep. Now, you're just hoping they don't wake up during this ad. Upgrade to YouTube Music Premium and get uninterrupted ad-free music. More non-stop reggaeton, more non-stop sleep. Start a trial on us. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Good
Hi.
afternoon po.
Good afternoon.
Meron na tayong guest.
Jeffrey Galino. Welcome.
Good afternoon po.
So we wait for the others before we start.
Okay po.
Test ko lang, Rom, yung screen ko. We'll try to present.
Okay, sir.
Up. Okay, you're seeing my screen?
Yes, sir. Opo.
And I'm going to present the PowerPoint. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Tatlong participants na lang po yung hinintayin natin.
Okay. Sige.
So, wala pa naman 1:30, mga 4 minutes pa po.
Okay.
Hello po, magandang tanghali po.
Good afternoon.
Salamat po sa pag-invite.
Okay, no problem po. My pleasure. Okay, so while waiting po tayo, so for those who are already here, may nilagay po ako sa chat na link for the UPyCraft na installer. So while waiting, pwede nyo na po i-download yung software natin so that we can maximize for the time. One, two, three. Okay.
Sir, mag-start
Yep.
na ba tayo or hintayin pa natin yung ibang participant?
We are waiting for 2 more, right?
Yes, sir. Opo.
So we'll just give them 5 more minutes for the benefit.
Si Sir Vic saka si Sir January.
Si Sir Jonah? Jonah
Yes
Ray?
po. Yes po.
Ooh. So
Saka si
just give
Sir
them 5
Vic.
minutes.
Okay po.
Okay, then we'll start. So for the participants while waiting po, you can just download the software that I posted in the chat.
Sir, come again, saan po?
Sa chat, meron akong nilagay na link in the chat. Okay, may random na tutorials.
I cannot see it right now, sir.
You click on the chat sa meeting details. Ayun,
Ayun na.
ayun.
Okay, lumabas
Dalawa.
na.
Okay. So, habang inaantay natin yung dalawa, at least we use the time to download the software. Okay, Rom, let's start na siguro.
Okay, sir. So, before we start po, welcome po sa lahat ng mga participants. So, sabihin ko po yung mga pangalan nila. Si Ma'am Melanie Alviento, si Sir Norman R. Andres, si Sir Jeffrey Galino, thank you po, si Sir Gian J. Kitayen, and si Sir George. So, the other po, dalawa wala pa sila. So, baka mamaya later.
So, ikaw na bahala mag-add sa kanila.
Yes po.
Okay, so hello, good afternoon each and everyone. Thank you very much po for...
Sir, nag-join na.
Okay. So thank you very much po for
Mm-mm.
joining us this afternoon, and thank you for patronizing our Getting Started kit in Micropython. So actually, this is
Sir,
considered the first. Yeah.
opo. Sir, introduction muna kami sa inyo.
Dreaming
Okay.
of the
Sige. Okay, go.
transformative power
So,
of nature?
welcome po to
Now
all of
you don't have to go
us.
far
So, Sir
to
Jogs
find what
po,
you truly need.
ang name po niya is
Discover the
Diogenes
power of
Armando
nature
Pascua.
in new
Si Sir
Creosote
Diogenes
rich
is an
organic
electronics
power
engineer
fusion
and is currently
infused with
taking up
luxurious
his
oils,
Doctor of
honeysuckle
Engineering degree
hibiscus
here in
essence,
the Philippines.
Damascena
He is
rose
an
oil,
associate
and
professor
rich shea
at the
balm.
University
It
of Science
softens,
and Technology of
strengthens,
Southern Philippines.
smoothens,
So he's a
and
passionate
restores.
in embedded systems such as
For
microcontrollers and
luscious and
SoC
moisturized
or
hair,
system on chips. Tama ba, sir? He
indulge
started
in the
out
power of
programming
nature.
embedded devices using C, but
Conditioned
have
luscious, naturally
migrated
powered.
lately to Python, particularly the Micropython fork. He creates robots and
Dahil sa
IoT
puwet nagkakatalo,
devices using
dapat
Micropython
rush-free sa
and
anak ko.
has been
Actually,
a
dahil sa puwet
recipient of
nagkakatalo,
research
dapat rush-free at
grants for this
komportable.
project.
Actually,
Please welcome
dapat
Sir
rush-free at komportable.
Pascua.
Eh, yun na sinabi niya eh. Oo nga, no? Actually,
Okay,
dapat
so thank you very much
improve EQ
for the
drive.
introduction
Ang
round.
bubble top
So again,
sheet
welcome back
absorb
each and
by
everyone to our
Sinamahan
session.
ng
So
level
this
of
is
comfort
actually a
from
3-day
my puso
session.
to my
So
baby's
hopefully we have
breath.
3 hours per day. But
Experience
don't
the EQ drive
worry
to
because we will
yourself.
have a certain break of around maximum of around 10 minutes in the middle of the session. So there might be times that you get bored because of the many information that might have come to you. Okay, anyway, but we're going to give you a lot of links of as well as tutorials, links and other references wherein you can browse through. If you find the session too overwhelming, so anyway, we're going to give you the references as well as the tutorials that we base this tutorial on. Okay, so my hope is that after 3 days, you'll be able to control the kits that you have. Okay. Okay. Maybe siguro let's have a certain ano lang siguro 2 minutes introduction of each and every one so that I can know your background. Pwede ba yan? And please open your camera and say something about yourselves and what do you want to develop or what do you want to learn out of this and some way develop on your project. So, let's start with Jean J. Kitayan. Sir?
Uh, hello, rinig po ba ako? Kita mo
Yes.
ba?
Yes. Opo.
Yes po, Jay Kitayan po. Actually, I'm a researcher from the UST ASTI.
Oh,
Background ko rin po is electronics engineering. Then, I primarily work din also po for more on embedded systems din po.
wow.
Kaya gusto ko lang po talaga matutunan yung paggamit ng Micropython since never ko siya nagamit before.
Okay.
Siguro sa future project siguro hindi ko pa naisip, but I think maraming pwedeng gawin dito eh. So yun na po.
Pero yung background niyo po is you already coded before.
Yes po.
So I assume that you know Arduino.
Yes po, Arduino, konting ARM, then yun na po yung background ko rin po sa
Okay.
program ko.
Okay, so thank you and I hope kasama mo sila Sir John Paler, di ba? Sa ASCII.
Si Brian Palermo.
Brian Paler po. Brian
Yes,
Paler. Yeah. Okay. So, kilala din kami. So regards to him. Okay. Thank you. Welcome. And let's hear from Jeffrey Galina.
Hello, I'm Jeffrey, high school teacher from Caloocan City. But,
Okay.
Currently on leave. Nandito ako sa Japan ngayon.
Japan. So yung our overseas. Pero may bumili naman daw siguro, di ba, for you. So anyway,
Yung
just
kapatid-
follow up lang. Okay. Okay, so welcome, sir. And next we have Melanie Alviento.
Hello po. Nakikita na po ako. Ayun. Hello, good afternoon po. I am Melanie Albiento Asuncion po from De La Salle Araneta.
Oh,
Actually, dalawa kami dito ni Sir Norman. Inatinan po namin ito. It's because it might help us for our new curriculum po ng engineering, computer engineering. By the way, I am a
okay.
professor. We're professor from De La Salle Araneta in college.
Okay.
So, um, part po ng enhancement, especially now that we are already in this kind of learning mode na online. So we might this one makatulong sa atin kasi itong Micropython actually bago sa amin ito since we are used to Arduino.
Arduino. Okay.
Yes
Yeah.
po. As a matter of fact, mga Arduino namin galing po yata sa inyo, sa e-Gizmo.
I guess
So,
mo. Yeah. Thank you po.
so ito naman, bago naman po sa amin ito. So this one might help us, our student also, na ano naman sila, ma-explore sa ibang embedded system,
Okay.
especially now na dun po sa curriculum ng CHED ngayon, isa po sa mga electives nila ay yung embedded system. Hindi po
Oh.
kasi katulad dati na yung dati po kasi ang embedded system nila parang microcontroller na rin. Ngayon po, separate po yung elective po nila mismo na embedded system. So baka makatulong po itong MicroPython na to
Okay.
sa
So,
amin.
so ikaw yung pioneer, ma'am. Na you'll be
Ah,
the one spreading it in Lasal.
encourage lang ako actually ni Sir Norman. Siya yung boss ko.
Okay po. Okay, thank you po. So si Sir Norman na, no? May we hear
Yeah.
from Sir Norman, the boss.
Hello
Welcome po.
po. Yeah, good afternoon. I am Sir Norman Andres. Currently the program chair of the computer engineering. So as what Ma'am Mel said, no? So we're venturing to other embedded systems. Mostly kasi talagang focus lang yung mga estudyante din namin ng Arduino. So we're hoping that this kind of uh, embedded system, no? Baka sakali makatulong din dun sa project design ng mga bata namin. Okay?
Oh.
Para makagamit na naman din naman sila ng iba.
So hopefully after the 3 days, you'll find this very interesting
Yeah,
and suitable
sana
for you.
nga. Diba sabi nga
Okay
ni
po.
Ma'am Melia, this is new to us. Okay? So with your
Okay.
help, no? Sana matutunan namin to na maigi.
Yeah, I do
So we
hope
can
also you'll find this easier and very useful after the 3 days.
yeah,
Okay.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you pa. Then we have Visar. Maybe hear from Visar.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes. Oh,
Meron ba?
yes, sir.
Sir Jog, si Victor to. Sa
Ah,
Phil Robotics.
Will Robotics, yeah.
Oo.
Visar, Victor, V, no?
Yes,
Victor
Victor.
stands for V.
Oo. So, basically, ang background ko is IT by profession. Tapos, I've been dabbling with basic ng Python and then normally scripting sa sa servers ang ginagawa ko. So,
Yeah.
I'm looking for something kasi ngayong pandemic mas maraming naging work from home kami na sinusuport eh.
Okay.
So, naghahanap ako ng way para makontrol ko yung servers ko na hindi na pumupunta ng opisina.
So IoT
Yeah,
application.
yeah. So beyond yung power on, power off lang kasi yun lang nagagawa ngayon masyado. Kaya naghahanap ako ng way para
So I assume medyo proficient ka na sa Python.
Hindi naman, basic pa lang. Kasi
Okay.
Iba yung ginagamit namin sa sa pag scripting ng
pero the concept
infrastructure.
na scripting, so I think
Yeah.
this is useful for you. Okay, so welcome sir and thank you.
Thank you.
And lastly, we hear from Mon. Mon. Okay. Si Roma pala to, si Mon. Okay, so we have 6 participants. 1, 2. Okay, so So glad to hear from all of you guys. And isa lang, no? So this is something new to all of you. And I hope after this session for 3 days, uh, you'll find this very interesting and very useful. So I assume that each one of you has the kit with you because this afternoon we're going to do hands-on. So for the first day, medyo slow. I expected that this first day is a slow one because we're going to feel the hardware. And of course, we'll have a rule wherein every step of the way, we're going to wait for each and every one. So maybe some of you are stuck, or maybe some of you na advanced na, natapos na, but we're going to wait to, for each and every one. And I would like to see that you have performed the software and the exercise by yourselves, no? Actual, no? So hands-on tayo. So, but before we go, I would just like to introduce to you Micropython and what's this. No? So let me just share my PowerPoint. Okay. Oh, welcome, Jonah.
Hi, welcome. Thank you, thank you.
Okay, sige. So,
Sensya na, nasa work ha.
okay. Okay, so we start. So you see my screen, my PowerPoint. This is MicroPython, Python for microcontrollers. So this is a hands-on workshop. And Roma is going to give you these slides in the chat box. No? So if you'll have a copy of this. Oh, by the way, sorry. Oh, it's sorry. Sorry, it's a wrong PowerPoint presentation. So it should be okay. Okay. So MicroPython is Python for microcontrollers. So we have an introduction about this. So we know that Python ranks almost number one in the most popular language today. And based on 2018, this is from IE Spectrum. So Python came to be number one, followed by C and C++. And if you look at the types of application, when you see this is for web. And if you see the phone, that is for mobile, and this for desktop. And a third criterion for languages is this one, which is an integrated circuit, which stands for embedded systems. So languages are based on this survey is or ranked based on their ranking on the different applications. And the new application there is actually the embedded systems. So in embedded systems, we program it usually in assembly, and of course, the de facto standard for higher level language is C and C++. But lately, Python research, so Python is also now being used in embedded systems, not just in web development, not just native desktop or mobile. Okay. So Python is a general purpose programming language that is often applied in scripting rule, and Python is also called as interpreted language, also known as scripted language. No? So the advantage of that is this is a high level language, and usually it is interpreted. Okay. And there are, for those seasoned programmers which are into Python, so they can really appreciate the benefits of what Python can give. So these are the different benefits Python has. So it's a high level language. It is object oriented. It is portable, so we can run it in different operating system. It has a large community. So thanks to the Python Software Foundation and the community. And this is the one I like. Actually, it's easy to learn. Okay, so relatively, it's much easier to learn for compared to other programming language. So it's a good starting programming language for those beginning learners. And it has an extensive support libraries. Ito din ang maganda because batteries are included. So when you download and run Python, libraries or modules are already included in the runtime environment. So there are a lot, as you know, Python is very popular, so this is being used in a lot of companies. So you can find them in web development, you can find them in desktop applications, also in entertainment, in business. Okay, so we leverage the use of Python for because of the popularity of Python. One might think na possible ba ma-use ang Python in microcontrollers? And the answer for that is yes. No? But before we go, we know that Python is almost 30 years old. So it started out in December 1989. And in 2013, lumabas si Micropython, which is the Python for microcontrollers. And since today, so uh, we now use Python 3 and Python 2.7 is actually medyo end of life na. Okay. So we leverage the long years in the involvement of the Python language. So, so our topic is actually centered on MicroPython. So what is MicroPython? So MicroPython is actually a complete re-implementation of Python. So it is designed to be efficient with resources and compact enough to fit and run within 256K of code space and 16K of RAM. So just like your desktop Python, it's complete because it has a compiler, a runtime, and the familiar run, evaluate, print loop, or we call this the Python shell. So it also supports for basic libraries, and you can actually create more modules that control and run the hardware. So in a nutshell, MicroPython is just a scaled down version of its big brother, which is Python. So noon, mahirap, there is a difficulty in porting the Python interpreter in microcontrollers. Simply because Python, although it's very easy, ang main characteristics ng Python is very memory intensive siya. In other words, RAM intensive. So kailangan niya ng malaking RAM to run. So sa desktop PC, okay lang kasi we have 1 gigabytes, 2 gigabytes, 8 gigabytes of RAM. Pero when it comes to microcontroller, ang liliit ng RAM. So that's why it's very difficult to port the Python language, the Python interpreter for microcontrollers. But thanks to one person, he made it to a point wherein he created a new Python interpreter that
Hello,
could
ma'am. Sorry, kausap ko lang di si Sir Rocky, yung sa budget do sa monitor, kung magkano ilalagay niya.
Okay. Okay, so that will fit within 256K of code space and 16K.
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
So,
okay.
as
Ma'am, isa lang yung identify namin na pwedeng paglagyan. Yung dito, yung malapit sa server room. Kasi may
Sir
tanong ako
January.
dito, yung kung same na sukat, yun yung kakasya. Now,
Hindi niya
yung
na-turn
ibang
off
pwedeng
yung
paglagyan.
microphone.
Opo. So, isa lang
pwede
yung
mo siguro
identify namin
i-mute,
ni Joy na
Share
pwedeng
mute.
lagyan. Meron dito
Sure
ibang mga area kaso may mga fire extinguisher.
Okay.
Ang sabi ko kay Joy, kung ilatanggalin yung fire extinguisher, papalitan natin.
Okay. Na-mute ko na siya. Okay, so
Okay na sir.
so as long as you can fit, as long as you have 256K of code space and 16K of RAM, that means this is 256K of flash, no? And at least 16 kilobytes of RAM, pwede mag-fit ang MicroPython. So if you have a microcontroller or any small device embedded system, as long as this has this minimum specs, at least 16K of RAM and 256K of flash space, pwede mag-run si MicroPython. So maybe you might have a question, pwede ba siya mag-run sa Arduino? So yun ang palaging tinatanong, no? And sadly, the answer is no because Arduino Uno or the Gizmo only has around 32 kilobytes of flash space and yung RAM niya is only 2 kilobytes. So sadly, hindi siya mag-run. But anyway, since mura na ngayon ang mga microcontrollers and since mura at saka at the same time malalaki na yung mga relatively yung mga resources niya, so madali na siyang lagyan ng MicroPython interpreter. Okay. So this was created by a Australian back in 2013. So si Damien George, meron siyang Kickstarter wherein yung challenge niya is how to implement or how to port the Python shell on microcontrollers and then experience the world of Python programming in microcontrollers. Kasi sa microcontrollers, ang pinaka native talaga standards is either assembly or C++. And I think C++ it has a very long learning curve compared to Python. So he created MicroPython. So there are a lot of boards that you can use to program Python today. So meron mga from STM, mga Arduino variants like yung Dewey because this is based on STM32. Okay? So meron ding mga M0, this is based on ARM system. So as long as yung hardware na meron 256K of flash and 16 kilobytes of RAM, it's a candidate for MicroPython. So pwede siyang lagyan ng MicroPython. So the various boards that are available for MicroPython, these were already tested. We have the ESP32, ESP8266, the Pi board, the Microbit, 10C Wi-Fi, and the Adafruit Circuit Playground Express boards. So in e-Gizmo, meron tayong available na ESP8266, meron ESP32, meron din tayong Pi board na variant which is STM32. So you can order, if you want to verge more into these boards, then e-Gizmo has these boards also. Okay, so this is the star of our workshop, our getting started kit. So hopefully everyone has their kits around and handy. So inside your getting started kit is an ESP32 and an LCD, which is an OLED, and also a basic sensor, which is the DHT11, which will sense temperature and humidity. Okay, and of course the jumper wires and 2 breadboards. So the star of that kit is actually the ESP32. So the good thing about ESP32 is it has networking capabilities. It has a Wi-Fi stack already in it. It has Bluetooth, both standard and low energy. And it has a lot of peripherals like UART, I2C, I2S, and SPI. And of course, it has a lot of digital I/Os. And also it has an ADC, analog to digital converter, digital to analog converter. So if you want to convert analog to digital signals, then it has an ADC peripheral. And if you want to do the reverse from digital to analog, it has a DAC outputs. That means you can generate waveforms. So applications niya is mostly on audio applications when you can generate music. So there are applications na nag-play sila ng mga Mario tunes, no? Using ESP32. Okay. So it has PWM outputs and among others, built-in sensor. So why MicroPython? So you might have a question, bakit tayo mag-MicroPython? Ba't hindi na lang tayo mag-C++ or mag-Basic or mag-Assembly? Okay, so this figure will tell you why MicroPython is so good. Most of the time, they say that, ba't hindi na lang tayo mag-Arduino or mag-Raspberry Pi? So that's the 2 choices, no? The most popular choices. If you compare at the specs, particularly the processor family, so Arduino Uno or our Gizmo is actually 8-bit compared to Raspberry Pi, which is 32-bit. So ESP32 is 32-bit and ESP8266 is 32-bit. So actually, mas better ang 32-bit for modern applications compared to 8-bit. But of course, 8-bit mas mura siya. Then the number of cores, for ESP32, 2 cores, and the Raspberry Pi is only 1 core. Now, sa speed sila nagkakatalo, no? So Gizmo or Arduino Uno is only a maximum of 20 megahertz. So standard is actually 16 megahertz. Compared that to Raspberry Pi, of course, that's 1 gigahertz. But if you look at ESP32, it's 240 megahertz. So this is actually more or less 12 times faster than the Arduino. And if you look at the RAM, so masyadong malaki yung RAM ng ESP32 compared to the Arduino. And the flash memory, so it has a maximum of 16 megabytes flash. So yung nasa kit natin, that's only 4 megabytes flash. But still, that's 4 megabytes compared to the flash of the Arduino, which is only 32 kilobytes flash. Of course, some will say, ba't hindi na tayo mag-Raspberry Pi? So ang problem with Raspberry Pi is it doesn't have a flash memory itself. But the memory, kung gusto mo siyang lagyan ng memory, maglalagay ka ng micro SD. But for ESP32, di na kailangan. But kung gusto mo siyang lagyan ng SD card, so pwede naman. So ito yung advantage ng ESP32, the 16 megabytes flash memory and the RAM. So because of this, pwede siyang mag-run ng Micropython. So may nagko-question na, sir, magra-Raspberry Pi na lang ako compared dyan. But the problem with Raspberry Pi is sometimes it's an overkill. So for example, yung application mo is magpapa-on ka lang ng motor na may sensor siya. Do you need a Raspberry Pi to run that? Of course, kung applications mo may database tapos may stack siya for a web server with data stacks, then Raspberry Pi will do. Pero for some applications, overkill si Raspberry Pi. And may joke pa nga sila noon na ginamit nila sa robot. So ang problem ng Raspberry Pi pag ginamit sa robot is during startup. Pag sinastart yung robot, matagal siya mag-move because mag-boot process pa yung Raspberry Pi. Whereas if you use dead microcontrollers right away, yung booting process niya is mabilis. Okay. So why is MicroPython so cool? So we get to use Python. So the ease of use of Python can be now implemented in microcontroller. And we have the live REPL. So this is the interactive prompt. So parang yung shell niya. So noon sa desktop lang tayo nakaka-experience ng shell. But here in microcontrollers, we can now have a live REPL or a Python shell. So, and the good thing is it allows faster iteration because wala nang compilation. Okay, all you have to do is code, then let the interpreter interpret it and run it. Okay, so there's no compilation step. So this will allow faster development times. So I can guarantee that your development time for applications might be times 10 compared to when you develop in the Arduino. So, it optimizes developer time, as I said. And you have to worry more about solution, less about the implementation. So that means you'll be concentrating more on your code rather than on the hardware implementation, just like in other in other languages. Okay, so ano yung applications niya? So general embedded systems, embedded machine visions, embedded machine learning. So there are chips that are running Micropython wherein you can implement machine vision and machine learning. So I'm developing one. And of course, the Internet of Things, so pwede siya, and edge computing and artificial intelligence. So because Python is so good and popular for ML, AI, and data science, so through Micropython, pwede na kayong gumamit ng microcontroller for embedded machine learning and embedded AI. So welcome to AI and ML in the embedded systems through Micropython. So there are chips now available na pwede kang gumawa ng mga advanced applications. And of course, the language being used is Python. So compared to other microcontrollers, this is how Micropython works. So yung hardware mo, meron siyang actually interpreter which is built in the hardware. So yung interpreter, which is the MicroPython shell or firmware, simply will convert your application software into bytecodes and fed it to the hardware. So yung user ngayon, gagawa ka na lang ng application software all the time. So in other words, walang compilation. Now, if you compare this with the Arduino, okay, so sa Arduino, what are the usual steps that we do? So itong nangyayari, no? Sa PC, meron kang editor, yung Arduino IDE natin. Then magko-code ka and then you have to compile. So i-compile mo siya bago i-upload. So every time you change your code, you'll have to compile and upload. Compile, edit the code, compile and upload. Edit the code, compile and upload. So yun yung usual process. But in Micropython, okay, yung nasa loob ng PC is only the editor. Compared to in Arduino, andun yung compiler and editor sa PC. Dito, yung editor lang yung nasa PC. The rest is in the microcontroller itself. So therefore, sa loob ng microcontroller, meron ka ng MicroPython interpreter. Yung code mo is actually nasa microcontroller din. Okay? And what it does is it simply converts your code into bytecodes that will be run by the microcontroller. So here, wala na tayong compilation. What we have here is always interpretation or interpret. So advantage nito, wala kang compilation. So every time you modify your code, you don't need to compile. You can run it right away and test it. So because of this, mas madali ang development. You can develop applications faster. So Micropython IDs are available. So the most basic is the PuTTY. Then we have UPyCraft IDE. This is from the F-Robot. And ito rin, si Tony, this is highly recommended because medyo advanced na rin siya and mature na. Okay, so these three are the most basic IDEs. But for those programmer meron na experience in web development or any other codes sa desktop or sa other platform, you are more familiar with VS Code, PyCharm. Okay? So itong dalawa, mga professional IDEs, pwede din siyang gamitin to program MicroPython. So actually, I'm using VS Code now also. But I won't recommend this for beginners because this is only good for intermediates because you will be overwhelmed if you start right away with VS Code or PyCharm. And of course, meron ito, this Mu editor is in the intermediate. So somehow between a beginner and an advanced. And the Mu editor is designed for educators. So meron tayong mga educators dito. Mu editor is a very good editor also because it combines the desktop Python and MicroPython. And may mga support siya for teaching coding. Okay, so but what we're going to do is we're going to use UPyCraft. Okay, so let's get started. So first order of the day. So you have been introduced to MicroPython, what is good for. So let's now get our hands dirty. So the first thing we have to do is we install UPyCraft. And after installing UPyCraft, we install the CP1212 driver. And then we start our code. Okay? So hopefully Roma can assist me with this one. So let's try doing it for each and every one. So the first thing you have to do is, of course, you should have your microcontrollers with you. Okay. So pwede nyo siya i-connect ngayon. So if you have your microcontroller, feel free to connect it to your USB and then plug in the breadboard. Okay. So the first order of the day is we install the UPyCraft. So how do we install the UPyCraft? So actually, my tutorial na binigay from e-Gizmo. Okay. So from the link in the website, the product page, merong link na nakalagay na. Getting started with MicroPython. So you can click that link. So if you have a browser with you. Okay. So you will be ported to this one. So getting started with MicroPython is P32. So you can brush through. Of course, you can read it, but to save time, you can brush through. And we'll just go directly to installing UPyCraft IDE. So from here, you click on Install UPyCraft IDE Windows PC. Okay. So in this step, in this website, you're going to install Python 3.7, but we will just skip it for now, no? Because we will not use the Python desktop. So that's for later. So we just jump directly to installing UPyCraft IDE. Okay. So from here, you have to click this link. Okay. And for those who have logged in earlier, I already given you this link. Okay. So click that. Okay, and it was also given in the chat before. No? So random nerd tutorials UPyCraft Windows. So you click that, and then you save the file. No? Okay, so it's downloading. And once na-save na siya, okay, so let's check if that's in my file. Okay, so nandyan siya. So all you have to do is double click that one. So when you click that one, you should now be able to run the UPyCraft. So okay, so let's check if everyone has this. Okay, so I'll just get my screen off first. Okay, so I will give you time so that you will install this one, the UPyCraft. Huh? So, and if you have any question, just use the microphone and ask me or Roma if everything's okay. Okay?
Hello po, sir.
Yes.
May ano po kasi ito sa akin sa UPyCraft, like current version only open, file text, JSON, INI file.
Okay lang yan,
Click
sir. Okay lang yan as long as meron ng IDE. Meron na to. Meron na to. So, okay lang. So, at least you've been finished. Okay, so
thank you po.
Yung iba, so please tell me if you have installed the UPyCraft so that we can proceed. So, but I will give you around 5 or 10 minutes to do this.
Excuse me, sa akin, nagtatanong siya ng source code pro font.
Okay. So, i-okay mo lang sir or install?
Walang okay lang siya eh.
Okay lang. Okay.
Nag-run naman yung yung GUI niya. Pero mukhang portable version ba to or installer?
Portable sir.
Okay.
Pwede mo siya i-port na everywhere. So, yung sinasabi na font, yan lang yung font na ginagamit niya. So, maybe ang font ko ngayon is iba sa inyo. So, I have installed that font. So, you can do it on other days if you want to. Kasi medyo tatagalan siya. But, ang difference lang yan is, iba yung font na yung magagamit sa IDE. So, maybe hindi siya kagaya ng nandito sa akin. So, sa iyo medyo iba siguro. But, no problem. So, that's not a major issue. Okay pa.
Okay, thank you.
Where are we going to get the driver, sir?
Okay. So you have already installed this, the UPyCraft?
Yeah.
So sabay-sabay lang tayo.
Portable kasi siya eh.
So just hang on sir. So sabay-sabay lang tayo pag-install ng driver para walang maiiwan. Okay, so while waiting for others to install this, yung nakauna na, so feel free to navigate. So familiarize yourselves with the different parts of the system. Okay. So we'll just wait for the others. Okay. So pag na-install na lahat before we proceed.
Sir Jog?
Yes, ma'am.
Yun po bang, yung pong link na sinend nyo doon,
Yes.
pag na-download ko na yung Engr nun, may iba pang i-download?
Later on, ma'am. So, ang requirement ko lang muna is i-run mo siya. I-double click and see if it runs na walang issues. So, dapat lalabas yung ganito. Yung nasa screen ko ngayon.
I-double click po yung screen mismo?
Yung exe file lang po. Yung na-download na file, magda-download yun siya. Tapos, i-double click nyo lang siya. Or kung pwede, pwede mo siyang gawing shortcut papunta sa desktop.
Kasi, sir, may yung sa akin, may lumabas na siya yung ganyang window. Pero kailangan ba ito ba yung file na to, binuksan mo lang or ano? Kasi blank sheet lang yung sa akin.
Okay. Okay lang ma'am. Blank sheet. Parang ganito lang. O ganyan.
Ah,
Okay, so as long as ganitong lalabas, so okay na siya. Okay po,
okay.
congrats. Okay. So meron na si Jay and everything. So Sir Norman and Sir Victor,
We're good, Sir Jog. I'm
we're
good.
good na.
Okay na ako, sir.
So we're all good. Okay? So I assume we're all good. So let's now proceed. So the next stop is actually, oh, sorry. We install the driver, no? The driver for your microcontroller. So you can actually find that. Okay, let me see. Scene. Okay. So once we have done that, so we need to install the driver for your microcontroller. Okay. So oh, sorry. It should be, where was that? Hmm. Just wait. Okay. So once you have finished that, okay, meron ditong link. So if you go to this website, meron link na how to flash Micropython firmware into ESP8266. So you have to click this. Okay. And you will be ported to another link. So i-share ko lang to siya na link sa chat, no? Para so that you can follow.
Sir Yogs, yung
Yeah.
po, meron na siyang uploaded na firmware.
Sige lang, we will just go through to the firmware kasi baka ma-erase nila one of these days. So mas maganda yung
Sige.
so actually, guys, meron ng firmware and may drivers na may firmware na yung mga microcontroller ninyo. Pero we'll just brush through to the steps because maybe I anticipate na sa future mawala yung or makorrupt yung firmware. So at least you know how to reflash the firmware. So that's what we are going now. So binigay ko yung link for this website. Okay. And so we just follow this. So if we follow this directly, it will give you how to install the firmware. But before we install the firmware, let's first have a shortcut and we install first the driver. So nakalagay dito sa baba, okay? Kasi your microcontroller is actually having a CP12012 USB to serial converter. So just like it's a USB device. So just like any USB device, kailangan mo siya lagyan ng firmware. So we'll brush through this and then we're going to click this one. Okay. Click this Silicon Labs website. Okay. So if you're going to click this, so you will be ported to the CP120X bridge driver. So all you have to do is download your system. So if you are under Windows 10, so download mo lang ito. Software. Okay. So I'll just copy this to the chat window. So this is for the drivers. So double click this and download it to your PC. Okay, so this is a zip file. And once download the zip file, extract it, then run it. So hopefully that will install your driver for your uh, microcontroller. Okay, so double click. So it will save. So save it to any application, any window, and then save it. So and once na save, you just extract it by double clicking. So let's double click this one. No. So for me, once ma-download na siya, okay, saan ba yan?
Sir Jog, hindi ko na po nasusundan.
Anyway, ma'am, click mo na lang yung nasa chat ngayon.
Opo, clinic ko po yung link. Tapos, hindi ko na alam kung alin doon sa dami ng information na nandun sa link.
Okay.
Kung alin yung i-click ko.
When you click this link, yung pinaka-last na link, ito yung lalabas.
Alin po?
Ito na window dapat. Silicon Labs.
Hindi ko na nasundan. Saan ba yan? Silicon Lab. Asan na
www.scilabs.com products development.
Nandun po ba yan sa unang link na binigay?
Yeah, yung unang link po dun sa Random Nerd Tutorials, pag click mo siya doon, lalabas dito. Parang nagko-connect lang siya. Hindi nyo nakikita yung bagong link na binigay ko. www.scilabs.com products development. Sa chat box.
Yung pong binigay nyo, yung una, ano po tong una, tong Micropython firmware, ESP, 32-ESP8266. Clinic ko po, lumabas itong link na to.
Yun yung lumabas kanina, yung ito. Kumbaga, yung previous.
Tapos mayroon na naman bago, iba pa tong isa.
Ito yung lalabas sa'yo ata, di ba, ma'am?
Pero po, itong isa ay
so,
parang
wag mo na lang daanin tong isa, yung pinaka-last na link na lang kasi shortcut na 'yon.
Okay, so i-click ko yung
kasi yung unang link kasi may i-click na para ipo-point out ka sa bagong link. So yun na lang i-click mo yung pinaka-last na link na binigay ko. Scilabs.com products development software USB 2 drivers. USB bridge VCP drivers. Okay pa? So, itong lalabas. Hopefully.
Ano po lalabas? Itong download for Windows 10.
Okay. Download for Windows 10 or kung Windows 7 yung sa inyo or pili ka ng kung anong PC ang nasa iyo. So most of you siguro Windows 10, di ba? So
i-click po yung VCP 2.3 MB.
2.3 MB. Opa. Yan pa.
Okay. So meron naka-zip file.
Naka-zip file pa.
Tapos extract ko po.
Extract mo lang pa.
And then may lalabas po. Ano pong i-click dito?
Okay. Punta ka muna sa ayun.
Ayun, open ko na po yung zip file.
Ito po yung zip file. Okay po. So i-extract nyo lang po siya. So,
tapos ano pong i-click doon sa file? Ay, wait lang po.
Extract nyo lang. And once na-extract, okay, saan ba yun? ESP, wait lang po ESP Micropython. Sorry, seminar. So dito po siya, na-extract nyo na dito. So i-click nyo lang po tong CP12 installer. Kung 64-bit yung PC nyo or kung 32-bit, itong 86. Pero most of us nasa 62-bit. So double-click nyo lang po tong VCP installer cross64.exe. Ito pa.
Yun pong folder na may 64.
Hindi pa. Ito na diretso na po. Yung nasa outside.
Ayun.
This one. Okay.
64.
Then follow prompt na lang po. I think
Yes lang po.
oh, yes lang. Yes. Okay.
Next.
Okay, so I hope ang iba walang problem with kagaya ng kay ma'am.
Okay, finish. Okay na po. Okay na po.
Okay na.
Tapos,
Okay, so installed na siya. So this one will install your driver actually. So kung your drivers are already installed, let's check natin kung meron na kayong microcontroller. So go back, you have to plug in your microcontroller like this. And we assume na naka-install na yung driver. So medyo may lalabas na COM port o pop up or may magtutunog pag nilagay niyo. So take note of that number. But anyway, kung na-install siya, you can go to UPyCraft and click in tools, then serial. So dapat may lalabas na COM8 or COM7 or COM6. So sa inyo might be different. No?
Wala po sa akin.
Wala? Natapos na po ba nag-install yung yung driver?
Same sa akin, wala.
Wala. The rest? Okay.
Sa akin, COM3.
COM3. So, meron na.
Paano mo malalaman na tapos na siya mag-install?
Natapos na po yung finish, yung next.
Okay.
Baka nag-install pa. Nag-install pa po, ma'am. Baka hindi pa natapos yung installation, kaya walang lumalabas.
Ayun lang po. So, sir, kailangan ba umiilaw tong board?
It may or may not. So kung umiilaw, don't worry. Kung hindi umiilaw, don't worry then.
Pag pina-plug ko po kasi, sa una iilaw, pero after nun wala. Ayan.
Okay lang po yan siya, ma'am. No problem. Yan yung yung booting process na i-high, low nyo isang pin. So okay lang po yan.
Okay lang po sa akin, 6.
Okay, so COM6.
Baka matagal. Sir, yung automatic naman na yung board natin, ESP32, no?
Apa.
Mamel, pakisuksok mo maigi.
Baka hindi lang naisuksok.
Hindi, kasi di ba pag naisuksok, ayan, nakasuksok naman.
Tumunog na siya.
Isang indication tumutunog din siya, ma'am.
Mag-blink lang siya, tapos hindi naman siya tumutunog.
Ganun ba? Okay.
Kailangan ba lubog na lubog to sa breadboard?
Hindi naman, ma'am, kasi pag umilaw, that means nakakonect na siya.
Oo. Hindi.
Saksakan lang ng micro USB, ma'am. Yun ang kailangan idiin. Yung cable.
Oo, sir. Kasi ano lang hindi sa I feel it. Hindi na to ay. Parang mababaw yung pagkakaano ko. Pero umiilaw na siya
Umiilaw na. Pero hindi tumutunog.
Hindi po.
Tapos, ngayon is, pag pupunta ka sa tool, sa serial, wala ding lumalabas.
Sa serial po, wala. Inatanggal po
Okay.
Mamel, may bakang cable?
Okay, so,
try, cable.
try nyo rin po, ibang cable. Baka sa cable. Don't worry, ma'am. Take your time.
Kailangan ko lang ilubog tong mabuti.
Opa. Huwag po kayong mataranta. Just take it easy.
Tumutunog siya. Hindi siya tumutunog Pero sir, kung hindi siya gumagana, bakit iilaw siya, di ba?
Pwede siyang umilaw pero hindi
Parang
na-install yung driver.
Ay, ganun.
May chance na umilaw pero yung driver hindi na-install. Okay.
Pero nag-finish
So-
na ako yun eh.
Okay. So try to unplug it again, ma'am. Unplug and replug your microcontroller. Ang ganito. Plug.
Oo nga to eh. Pero
So, dapat tutunog siya.
hindi siya tumutunog.
Parang ganun.
Ulit yung aking serial. Kahit ano pa naman tong power cable ko. Nako na iba. Nako.
Okay, so while waiting kay ma'am, mag-bathroom break muna po ako, ma'am. Sir? 3 minutes. So,
Wala pa rin eh. Yeah. Isa.
ayun, meron na.
Ayun, may COM3 na. Ba nasa
Okay.
cable mo?
So, maybe sa cable, the faulty cable.
Buti na lang.
Ah.
May extra cable.
Okay.
Hindi pa naman uso na ngayon ang mga universal cable. Yung Type-C na ngayon ang mga cable.
Ano din pa kasi we've experienced sa cable, so medyo matetempt tayo doon sa may mga mumurahin like 30 pesos or 40 pesos. So as much as possible, wag niyo na lang pong bilhin 'yon. So invest na lang po kahit yung at least 100 peso na cable. And kasi yung experience ko yung nasa tabi-tabi, ganun talaga. Problematic sila pag data cabling. So I recommend Minisu, yung nasa Minisu or ano pa ba, yung parang mga Korean na USB cable. So medyo okay yung quality nila. At the same time, much cheaper. Okay pa, so I think everyone already has the COM port. Yeah,
Yes.
right now. So,
Yes.
Okay na po.
so everyone has, we go to serial, COM8, so lalabas, no? So, kung i-click nyo siya, COM8, ngayon, so lalabas, mako-connect kayo, maglalabas yung REPL. So, dapat meron nito. Or, again, tools, COM8. Yan, lalabas si REPL.
Ano ulit, sir?
So,
Unique mo.
go to tools,
Opo.
and then serial, then click nyo yung COM8.
Opo.
So, lalabas dapat ito.
Okay po.
Or, pwede rin na instead of that, go to this one. Connect. So, dapat lalabas. And disconnect. And before nga pala, kasi by default, nakapunta na, magde-default siya sa ESP32 because you have set it right initially. So sometimes hindi siya magde-default sa ESP32. Just like in Arduino, pwede mong gawin mo is go to tools, check the board, So, meron tayong different boards, 8266, TTY board, and ESP32. So, click ESP32 and click the serial port and then you connect. So, para din siyang sa Arduino na you have to specify what type of board and what type of serial connection channel you have. Okay. So once you have that, welcome to the Micropython REPL. So this one. Okay, so I hope everyone has this. Correct?
Yes po.
Okay po.
So lahat. Okay. So
Okay.
let's try. Okay, so I assume everyone has this one. So you can now start playing with the REPL. So you can say type in help like that. And press enter. So lalabas yung welcome to Micropython on ESP32. Okay pa. So everyone has this prompt. Pag sinabing help, so lalabas ito siya. So how about the others? All have same screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Ano yung command, sir? Help.
Help.
Help, open, close. Parang open, close
Parang help
parenthesis.
function. So gagawa ka na, i-call mo yung help na function. Help. Then open and close parenthesis.
Sir, paano mo ibabalik dun sa tatlong greater than? Ano ba yan? RETL ba yan?
REPL pa. Pwede mong i-click lang itong clear. Ito pa. Yan.
Oh, yeah.
Click
Pero
that.
meron na siya sa baba, di ba, sir? Automatic.
Automatic din.
Yung
So
sa tatlo.
pwede, kung say, lalabas ka ng help, so lalabas siya, and lalabas na rin automatically yung tatlong karet. So, pero kung gusto mo siya i-clear, i-erase mo siya lahat, so just use this one, clear, and then press enter sa keyboard. So, lalabas yung karet.
Ba't period sa akin, sir?
May period pa? Baka may nilagay ka na period. Baka napindot mo yung period. Parang ganyan.
Ano, wala na yung current. Kasi pinindot ko. Enter ko ba? Ayun.
Ayan. So anyway, kung nawala, enter nyo lang until enter.
Surprise.
Sir, wala nga. Period na pag ina-enter ko eh.
Pa?
Nawala sa'yo?
Press enter ulit po.
Yeah, puro period lumalabas, sir.
Ganun ba? Sige, baka nagra-run. Puro period, sir. That means nasa isang kumangka. So, double backspace po. Try nyo double backspace. Double arrow, yung backspace na key. Then press enter po. Enter.
Ayaw pa rin.
So, parang ang nangyayari siguro sa'yo, parang ganito, sir. D equals parang E equals 45 equals then period siya ganyan. Ayaw pa rin po?
Ayaw eh. Yung tatlong caret talaga napalitan ng tatlong period.
Oh, tatlong period. Sige. Try nyo po disconnect and connect. Ito pa.
Okay. Sige.
Click and connect.
Okay na. Nire-open ko lang yung yung PyCraft.
Okay, yung PyCraft ko. So, at least at this point, may mga bugs or mga problems na kayo na-encounter. And hindi lang yan ngayon, palagi po yung nangyayari. So, huwag po tayong maging, huwag tayong magpanic because part na po ng life natin yan as a programmer. And so, yung issues na nakita ni Sir, so ang solution nun is either connect or disconnect or restart the entire UPyCraft. So, yun yung nangyayari. And there are also times na communication problems mag-arise. So, pwede nating, so if this will not work, the connect and disconnect, yung ginagawa namin is hardware reset. So, may nakikita kayo dito, yung RST, reset button. So, pwede mo siya i-click, i-press. Sorry, this one. Press ko siya. So, pag press mo siya, magre-reset yung system. So, itong mangyayari. So, it will tell you may power on reset. So, this is a hardware reset. Okay pa? So, try nyo po, hardware reset. Click this one. That button. So, magre-reset yung system. So, ito po yung useful thing din pag nag-hang ang system. So, yun yung ginagawa natin. I-reset lang siya using hardware. Okay. Okay, so everyone, okay na tayo? You have gone through this? So yung pag-reset natin, everything is working?
Okay po.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay po.
Yes,
So,
sir.
so let's now proceed. Okay. You might notice na meron na kayong karet. This one. Pag clinic nyo siya, meron na kayo. That means, tinatawag natin sila, itong tatlong karet na REPL, which stands for Read, Evaluate, Print, Loop. Okay? So, kasi ang good thing about this prompt or shell is you can execute Python scripts and Python lines on the fly. And also, you can play with the hardware using this caret. So, for example, we've tried help. So, lalabas yung help. Okay. Pwede ka rin gumawa ng ibang commands like print hello. I just use my magnifier. Okay. Okay. So I will use the magnifier. Okay, sorry. Let me magnify the screen. Okay. So, because of this caret, pwede ka nang gumawa ng mga different, you can call different functions, you can call different commands in Micropython. So, as I say, print hello world. So, magpiprint na siya ng hello world. And Python is a dynamic language, so pwede ka nang gumawa ng mga variables. Let's say I have A equals 23. Then B equals 12. So meron tayong dalawang variables, A and B. So pwede kang so sabihin mong C equals A plus B. Sorry. Okay, and when we say type in C, Oh, sorry. Let me, what happened? So lalabas 35 because A is 23, B is 12. Okay? So congratulations each and everyone. Meron na tayong Micropython kernel na nagra-run sa ating microcontroller. Okay? Now, as we have said, yung firmware, yung microcontroller firmware is already pre-installed. So when we ship to you the uh, microcontroller kit, yung ESP32, meron na yan siyang firmware. So involved. So kaya lumalabas tong karet right away. Pero what if kung bibili kayo ng bagong ESP32 na fresh na fresh? So yung bagong ESP32, wala yan siyang firmware or wala siyang Micropython interpreter na na-install sa microcontroller. So anong gagawin pag meron kang bago? So all you have to do is install the firmware. Okay? So paano i-install ang firmware? Okay, so let's have an exercise now na let's say you assume that meron kang bagong ESP32 with blank firmware. So we'll install the firmware. So yung step pa rin is ganito, no? So we started out with the UPyCraft and then we install the driver. And the next step usually is we install the firmware. Pero already installed naman sa inyo, so we skip that. But just for everyone's sake, kasi kung bibili kayo ng bagong ESP32 from us, pwedeng wala siyang firmware. So, but don't fret, pwedeng ikaw mismo ang mag-i-install. So this is the process. So if you go to Tools and Burn Firmware, but make sure no, na nakakonect kayo. Okay, something like that. Okay, and go to Tools, Burn Firmware. So lalabas tong window. No? So tatanong siya kung anong board. Then we usually put a burn address. And then i-erase yung flash. That means say yes. That means i-erase niya. Okay. And then what COM port? So yung COM port natin. And then click this user and choose the firmware file. Okay. So sa akin, meron ako. So I have this one. This is the firmware that I have. Pero sa inyo, so meron siya. Pero I assume sa inyo wala pa, no? Because, of course, wala pa kayong firmware na da-download. So you might have a question, saan hahanapin yung firmware? So actually, naka-outline nyo ngayon doon sa, sa ating tutorial na link. Okay. Okay, previously, no? So nandito siya. Okay, particularly ito, flashing the microphone firmware. So take note of this link. But anyway, actually what you're going to do is just go to the website. So if you follow these steps, so it will tell you the links. No? But of course, for us to save time, so direct ko na lang kayo direct sa link. So to get the actual firmware, yung binary file na nandito, na na-install ko na, all you have to do is go to micropython.org. So micropython.org. Oh, sorry. Walang C. Wala akong C. micropython.org. Okay? And pag nasa micropython.org na kayo, go to download. and then hanapin mo yung board. So as we said, the Micropython runs on different boards. So yung board natin is actually ESP32. So hanapin natin si ESP32 ito. So generic ESP32 module. Okay. And then lalabas na yung different firmwares. So you can use the newest version or you can use the not so newest version. So usually ang ginagamit ko is itong generic 1.13 din. So double click this. So it will tell you saan siya i-download or i-save. So ESP32 IDF 2020. I-save ko somewhere. Okay. So let's say save ko dito, save. So magda-download na siya. So the micropython.org, dito yung mga repository ng mga firmwares. So every now and then lumalabas sila ng mga bagong firmwares. So expect na next month may bago na naman lalabas. So we are now at version 1.13. So maybe expect next time magiging 1.14, 15. By the way, MicroPython is open source, so palagi nilang ina-update. Okay. So let's try to update or try to install your firmware. Okay. So let's go back again. So to install the firmware, all you have to do is connect, of course, then go to Tools, Burn Firmware, click the device, the burn address, usually times 1000, and erase the flash, say yes, and anong COM port, and then click the user, and then choose. So kung saan nyo ni download, no? So this is the one, okay, doon na lang sa dinownload ko kanina. So seminar. Okay. So ito siya. So version 1.13 din. Click mo siya, open. Okay, so i-choose niya. And then check the fields. Board is ESP32 times 1000. Yes, COM8. Then press OK. So ngayon, magda-download siya. So this is the flashing method. That means kung bago ang ESP32 na wala pa siyang firmware, this is the method of flashing the firmware. Okay, so antayin mo lang siya until mag-work. Okay, so... Sir?
Erase false po.
Okay, pag i-rerun nyo lang ulit po. Kasi minsan sa communication problem siya. So, nag-burn. So, sometimes may issue din po na hindi mag-proceed yung flash erase. So, usually, ang ginagawa namin, before ka mag-click, i-press mo yung dalawang buttons. Like, ito. Dalawang button. Sabay-sabay. Click mo siya. No. Pause. Sorry. Hindi nag-proceed. Sorry. Burn firmware ulit. 32, COM8. Na-press ko siya. Supposed to be, matatapos na yan. Okay. So, choose ulit. Yun. Okay, so parang ganito nangyari sa'yo, sir, di ba? Erase false. Okay. Simply because
sir,
pero hindi ko pa kasi naka-connect eh. Okay, so go to Tools, COM8, Burn Firmware. So, don't worry, this happens. Na? Expect na you'll go through this from time to time. Pero everything's solvable naman po. Okay, choose. Okay. So pag ganito nangyayari, usually what we do is we disconnect, we close the UPI craft, and we open it again. Okay, and 2, serial, com 8, 22, turn from there. Okay, there. Okay, so that's it. So as I said, sir, may mga issues kayo, so either reset the board or enter or exit, close the UPI craft and re-enter. So usually yun ang mga nakaka-solve sa issues. You might have a question, bakit ganito nangyayari? Because actually yung board communicates with the PC via serial port, which operates at 115, 200 kilobytes per second. And since serial port siya, parang you can imagine it as yung parang nangyayari sa modem last time, during the time yung mga dial-up modems. So may mga issues with the bits na pumupunta sa communication, so nagkaka-error. So yun nangyayari minsan, nag-disconnect siya. But anyway, just one of the things you can do is reset the boards or open or close the UPI craft and it will go back again to normal. So ito yung usual process kung bibili kayo ng bagong boards na wala pang firmware. So this is the process. So again, pupunta kayo sa micropython.org and i-choose niyo yung board. And from that board, save niyo siya yung bin file and then burn niyo using the burn facility in the UPI craft. Okay.
Sir Job, saan
Yes,
usually
ma'am.
save yung yung bin file?
Anywhere, ma'am, kung saan mo gusto. You
Kahit
can
saan.
have it in your D drive or desktop. As long as ma-remember nyo kung saan nyo nilagay. Saka yung UPI Craft XC, pwede saan nyo rin ilagay anywhere. As long as ma-remember nyo rin kung saan nyo nilagay. Apa.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If ever po, sir, na may chip po ako na not supported sa Micropython, paano po tayo mag-start mag-build ng own firmware natin from Micropython na source code?
Punta po kayo sa micropython.org. Micropython.org, meron din doon developer.
Okay po.
So meron silang GitHub. Actually, may GitHub repository. So if you want to develop it, actually, ang Micropython is developed using C. It's a C++ or C++. So you program it in C, tapos lalabas siya ng parang a firmware. So based in C++ lahat. Okay pa. So kung gusto niyo po maging developer, then good pa. At least gusto ko rin po maging developer, pero parang medyo mahirap pa at this point. But of course, you can learn the C++. Ang nakagandahan kasi pag gagawa ka ng your own firmware, mako-customize mo siya. So kailangan talaga intermediate knowledge sa C++ to develop your own firmwares. So ako, antay na lang ako ng mga bagong lalabas ng create ng mga guys. Okay po, so once natapos na siya, you can actually reset the system. And then go to connect it. So dapat lalabas na yung siyang from our dear old Micropython REPL. Okay pa, so yung nag-flash ngayon, reset the board and connect. So dapat lalabas na yung ating REPL. Okay pa? Everybody has this?
Yes po.
Okay po.
So nakapag-flash na tayo lahat. So we have experienced flashing. Flashing the firmware.
Correct.
Okay, so that's why tinuruan ko rin kayo how to flash the firmware because there are boards na aside from ESP32 na pwedeng gamitin. Yung STM32 or yung Pi boards. So same process pa rin. But yun lang, doon sa micropython.org, ibang firmware ang gagawin mo. Instead of ESP32, piliin mo yung for STM32 or piliin mo yung for Pi board. Okay? So kasi I assume na there are times makukurap yung makukurap yung firmware kasi may mga process na naghang sa system. So pag gano'n mangyayari, we usually reflash the board. And huwag kayong mag-alala, no? Just pag nakurap yung firmware, yun ang kagandahan ng ESP32. Hindi siya mabibreak, di ba? Kung sa doon sa Atmega, sa Arduino Uno, yung Atmega 328, pag wrong yung fuse mo, yung sa Arduino, when you burn the firmware ng Arduino, pag wrong yung fuse settings, may chance mabibreak yung chip. That means hindi mo na siya magagamit because brick na. No? Kumbaga, useless na, paperweight na lang siya. But ESP32, don't worry because meron siyang tinatawag na always on or always there bootloader. That means kahit ma-corrupt yung firmware mo, walang chance na mabibreak siya. So yung kagandahan ng ESP32, the express if guys, see to it that there's always a booting process or a booting program na kahit anong mangyari sa firmware mo, magbuboot at magbuboot talaga siya palagi siya. So yun ang kagandahan ng ESP32. So wala pa akong chip na nasira so far. Of course, na siguro pag nilagyan mo siya ng load na masyadong malaki yung current na kakainin and so on and so forth. Okay? So everything's good?
Good.
Okay, so good.
Okay.
Okay na. So let's now play with the REPL. Okay? And we discuss a little bit on the Python syntax. Okay. So let's just magnify this. Okay. Magnify a little bit. Okay. So now once you have the caret, you can either enter commands, that's what we have done before, yung help. Okay. Labas yung help or pwede mo siya minimize. And so far, what we have done is we created variables. No? Okay. Now, ang Micropython is something like an interpreted language. So everything that you create in Python is actually an object. So yung object ngayon, mas-store siya when you create an object, mas-store siya ngayon sa random access memory ng microcontroller. Okay? So everything that you create, a variable or a function or anything in Micropython, in Python per se, are objects. And these objects are stored in the memory. So for example, kanina gumawa tayo ng variable a equals 12. Okay. Gumawa tayo ng variable na b equals 13. Okay. So si a and b are actually integers. No? What are integers? So numbers with sign, di ba? Negative and positive, and they are whole numbers. So let's say kung gagawa ako ng c equals 12.33. So meron akong tatlong variables, a, b, and c. Si a and b are integer, si c is a float or a floating point number because it has a caret. So kung magta-type ako ng a, i-query niya si a. So a has a value of 12. Mag-query ko ang b, b has a value of 13. And if I said c is 12.33. Okay. And they said Python is a language with built-in modules, battery included. So that means meron na siya mga built-in functions. So one of the built-in functions nakita natin kanina is print, di ba? Print hello. Okay? So pwede ka rin mag-print A. So ipiprint niya sa A, which is 12. Or print C. So 12.33. Okay? So meron tayong three variables, A, B, and C. Okay? Now, ano yung type ng variable ni A? So you can call in the built-in function type. So lalabas, si A is actually an integer. So kung tatanungin natin yung type ni B, an integer, yung type ni C, it's a float. Okay? Okay? So meron tayong, gagawa din tayo ng bagong variable. Let's say name. So ano bang name natin? So let's say Jog. This is my name. Okay, so ganyan. Name equals Jog. And if you call in name, yung type ni that's Jog. And sasabihin mo yung type ni Jog or no, type ni name. So ibibigay niya it's a string or str. So that means Jog or name is a variable whose content is a string. So a string is just a series of characters. No? And if you call the name 0, ganyan, it will give me the first element of the name string. If I say name 1, it will give me the second element of the name string. And if I say name 2 equal to x, for example, sorry. What's the problem? Okay, so sorry. So name assignment doesn't string, so it doesn't work. So sorry. So sa other types is string is actually immutable, so that's why hindi siya papayag na mapalitan. Okay, my bad. Okay? So the good thing about Micropython is you can create variables on the fly. Okay? So as I said, every variable na na-create natin is actually stored in the memory. Now ngayon, tatanungin natin, ano yung mga variables na na-create ko? So, ano yung mga variables na nasa memory ngayon? So, to inquiry about the variables, all you have to do is call the dir function. So, the dir is a built-in function that will give you a list of all objects that you have created na nasa memory ngayon. So, when I call that, dir, lalabas si bdev, sys, name. Meron na si A, si B, si C, tsaka si name. Okay? So these are the variables na nasa memory ko ngayon. So yun ang kagandahan ng Micropython and Python is that you can have an idea of what variables na nasa memory mo ngayon. Unlike sa C++, you don't have that concept or you don't have that functionality wherein on the fly, pwede mo malaman ng mga variables. So meron din functions na del. So let's say del A. So the del is tatanggalin niya si A. So kung you call the dir function again, so mawawala na si A. Diba? Okay. And if you delete B, mawawala na si B. Okay? And if you look at your dir, so these are the functions that you have. Okay. So you can call functions from time to time, and then you can create variables anytime. Now, you can also dynamically change variables. So, for example, C. C is now 12.33, and type ni C is float. Okay, so pwede mong i-modify si C. Gawin mong 45. Okay. So previously, C is a float equal to 12.33. Pero ngayon, because of this, yung type ngayon ni C is an integer. Okay? So in Python, dynamic allocation siya. Kumbaga, you can modify the data types from on the fly. Unlike sa C++, di ba? We define the variables first, like int A, float B, and once na-define na siya, you cannot rechange it. Okay? Whereas here, you can change the variable types anytime. Okay? Now, you might ask me, ano yung mga built-in functions? So, to know the built-in functions, all you have to do is press help, then built-ins. Oh, sorry. You have to import built-ins first. Sorry. Import built-ins. And then help built-ins. So, lalabas ngayon yung mga built-in functions. So, marami sila, no? Like, so this, go to the functions. Okay. Abs. So, abs is absolute value, all, any. So, these are Boolean functions. Bin, callable. dir, so we have used dir. Also print, no? We use print. And then we use, what else? Del. I think there's a del. Okay. So we use dir. Hindi naka-built-in si del. But anyway, so these are the built-in functions na pwede mong gamitin. Okay. So naka-built-in na siya sa Python firmware. So in other words, may mga libraries na siya na built-in. Okay. You can also import modules. Let's say import math. So the import module is similar to the include in C++. That means we import the math modules. And once we have the math modules, so these are the different fields that you have in math. So arctangent, cosine, sine. So in other words, the math module is a module or a library that contains all math functions. So for example, let's say A equals math dot sine. Let's say this is in radians, no? So let's say 2 pi radians, or let's say 3.1416. Okay, and call in A, so that's negative 0.7233 to the exponent of negative 6. So in other words, this is close to 0, di ba? In other words, the sign of pi is 0. Okay. So in Micropython, hindi mo na kailangan gumawa ng mga functions sa mathematics because it's already built in. Like yung exponential, arcsine. Okay. We have square root. No? Square root is the square. Let's say SQ math dot SQRT 12, for example. So what's the square root of 12? So 3.46412. Okay? Okay. Okay, any questions so far?
Sir, bakit po nag-invalid sa akin? Invalid syntax.
Ano pa? Anong nangyari pa?
Di ba import math, tapos
Yeah, import math.
Tapos po math.
Yeah.
May period po 'yun.
May period pa. So something like
kailangan po magkasunod lagi 'yon. Import math tapos math dot.
No, yung import is you just do it once. Okay? I mean, kasi yung import, that means mag-i-import siya ng mga libraries. So you only import once. So
Okay
import
po.
math. So that means meron akong math modules. So kung magko-call ako ng help math,
Opo. Pag
lalabas na
ayan,
yung default function. Tapos kung gagamit ako ng math dot,
opo.
let's say sign, ganun lang. Math dot.
Pag math
Math.
dot lang po, ilalabas niya yung lahat ng mga math functions.
Ano po, tab. Okay, ganito. Math
Math
dot.
dot.
Tapos i-press mo yung tab na key.
Okay po. Tab.
Okay, so lalabas lahat ng mga parang help feature niyan siya, yung tab. So use the tab all the time. So because of the tab,
yung kanina, yung built-in, ganun
Yeah.
din. Import.
Import built-in pa.
Yung pong built-in, as in, walang dash or may
Okay.
dash?
Oh, wala na po because special type of ano siya library. So you don't need to specifically call the built-in library.
Pero po may dash yung word na built-in. Built tapos dash tas in.
Wala po. Built-ins lang.
Dire-diretso siya. May S po, built-ins.
Import built-ins. Let's check.
Okay. Tapos po, ayan na. Tapos pag ganun ulit po. Paano po palalabas?
Pwede kang as usual, built-in dot tab.
Tapos tab ulit, built-ins. Tab.
Dot tab. So lalabas na yung built-in.
Tab.
Okay.
Ayun. Okay po.
But it doesn't necessarily mean na palagi kang mag-built-ins because yung built-ins na module parang special o standard siya. So pwede mo na i-call yung mga functions na walang built-in. No? So for example, print. Hello. Pwede din siyang built-ins dot print. Hello. Same lang yan sila. Okay. So the same lang yan sila. So print hello or built-in dot print hello. So sa mga built-in functions, pwede nang wala to si built-ins. But for other functions, dapat ilagay mo yung module name. So actually, we call this the module names. No? Built-ins, yung math. So in other words, parang concept siya ng libraries. No? So under the built-in module, andito yung mga functions niya. And under the math modules, ito yung mga functions niya. Okay? So anyway, tomorrow we will discuss more on modules, no? And objects.
Okay po.
Okay. Okay, so medyo overload na. So we'll just have a 5-minute break. So comfort room, bathroom break para makapahinga muna ang brains. And when we come back, we'll now play with the LEDs. Yay. Okay? 5-minute break.
Okay.
When people watch your video,
Okay. So we have played with the REPL in UPyCraft. So for a summary, this is the UPyCraft IDE. So we have here on the side the different tools. And this one portion here is known as your editor. You can edit Python scripts here. And we have played of this one. This is the Micropython shell or the terminal wherein you can execute programs and lines of Python scripts and codes on the fly. No? And then here we have the device tree or the file tree. Okay, so I will explain that later on. Okay, so let's now create a hello world program. So just like in any programming language, you can say hello world. So this one, this line of code, import time while true, time that sleep one, print hello world, will actually print the hello world indefinitely. Okay, so let's create that one. So as we have seen, we can create, we can run code on this REPL, but we can also create a script on this editor window. So let's say, let's go to File and create a new file. So that will be an untitled file. Okay. And from here, you can create script. So let's say import time. Okay, let's minimize this. Magnify. Oh, sorry. So import time, and they say while, I don't know, instead of while, let's make it a for loop na lang. For I in range, say 10, I will say print hello. And I say time that delay is 1. Okay. So you might have a question, what is this for? So first, we import the module time, and then we have a for loop in Python. So for I in range 10, we execute print hello, and we call in the time delay function of the module time. And the argument is 1, so this will create a delay of 1 second. And this will be repeated uh, up to 10 times. Okay? So, but first, before we can do that, we can run this, we have to save this first. So we have to go to File and Save. Let's name this as hello.py. Okay, continue. Okay, so it's not saved. So anyway, communication problems. So file, save it. Save it na lang siguro as different file. Okay, let's say hello pi. Okay, so this is saved as hello pi. Okay. And once that is there, you can actually press tools, then download and run, or F5, or you can press this one. Let's try this one. Press this one. Okay. So ready to download this file, please wait, download, okay. It opens the file, then press hello. Then we have an error. Module object has no attribute delay. So my bad, no? Nasa Arduino pa to eh. It should be not delay, it should be sleep. Sorry, my bad. Okay, save it. And let's run it again. Okay, so it runs the hello phrase 10 times. So since this is 10, okay? So everyone, please try this. Try this code in your UPyCraft and try to run it. So again, so you have to type in a file and save it as hello pi and press this one to run that. Okay? And if you have any questions,
Sir, if it won't save again, what are you going to do? Files.
okay, so file, then save as.
Yeah, I did that.
And let's save it as, rename it again, hello2 na lang, .py. Save. So it should save, but hindi siya naka-open. No? So all you have to do is file, open. So i-open mo siya si hello2. So meron ka ng dalawang file, hello.py and hello2. So pwede mo rin siyang i-delete. Okay pa?
Okay.
So try niyo pa. And to run this, all you have to do is press this one, no? Play, or download and run, something like that. So it will download it, then execute, then. So this program will execute the print hello 10 times with a sleep interval of 1 second. So hello, 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 hello.
Sir, pag sinave ba, kailangan laging may .py or hindi?
Kailangan po so that the interpreter can distinguish it as a Python file. So dapat may .py talaga.
Hindi siya nag-change, sir eh.
Ng ano?
Ng pangalan. Untitled pa rin. Save
Okay.
as no.
Okay,
Tapos,
kung untitled pa rin, i-open mo na lang siya. Yun din yung drawback nito eh. So say,
i-open yung na-save ko?
Okay, i-open nyo po. Ganito, file, open.
Okay.
And then navigate nyo po sa file name na na-save ko. So hindi siya automatic sometimes na magma-modify agad. So pag nangyari yon, so all you have to do is just go to open it. Pag na-saves as siya as a different file, then just go to that file, open it, and open it like that.
Okay. Ayun. And then, close ko na lang po yung una.
Okay, pwede nyo po i-close yung una.
Then, play.
Play. So when you press play.
Sir, ano po ba yun? Colon o semicolon?
Ano po ang? Itong...
Yung range, yung 10?
Colon po, colon.
Colon.
Colon po, colon. Dalawang dots.
Okay.
Let me magnify it.
Auto-save to, no?
Ma'am?
Pag nag-edit ka dito sa ano, nag-auto-save na siya kapag nag-modify.
Hindi po. You'll have to specifically save it.
Okay. Save, tapos tsaka i-play.
Play. Pero, kung i-download mo siya, like this, auto-save siya pag dito mo siya plinay agad because download and run. Pero kung yung sa computer side, hindi siya auto-save. Okay, so, but to make sure, save nyo na lang po talaga explicitly.
Okay. So, pag na-save na siya, automatic, pag sinave ko na siya, play ko lang?
Play nyo lang po.
Bakit
so
sir may lumalabas na already download model? Please wait.
Okay, please wait. So, yan yung problem. Yan yung problem ng communication. So, it happens. So, when that case, parang merong communication error na nangyari. So, when that thing happens, all you have to do is connect and disconnect. So, click this, connect again, and then press nyo yung play.
Alin po yung i-click?
Ito po.
Parang kadena?
Disconnect. Yung kadena. Magdi-disconnect kayo, tapos reconnect, then bago mag-play.
Para i-click lang po ito. Disconnect.
Tapos connect ulit. Tapos play na.
Tapos play.
Okay.
Download okay.
Okay. Exec, open, hello pie, then lalabas na yung hello na 10 times.
Wala pong hello na 10 times.
So,
wala pong labas, sir.
Download okay. Download okay lang. Check nyo yung print, hello?
Print, hello, time, that's it. Wala nga din po sa akin. Import, time, for...
Baka wala pong, wala kayong indentation?
Meron
so,
po.
kailangan po naka-indent eh.
Naka-indent. Yung print po kailangan naka-indent.
Opa.
Pati po ba yung time naka-indent?
Yeah, same indentations wala siya dapat.
Ilang beses po ang indentation? Isa lang?
Isa lang po. Isa lang. Because sa Python kasi, isang block of code is indented. So sa C++ kasi we use brackets, di ba? Opening and closing brackets. Sa Python kasi, ang block of code is defined via colon, tapos one tab. So to indicate that this one is one block of code.
Okay po.
Okay.
So, download. Pag ganun pong download okay, ang gagawin po ulit, open file ulit. Ganun po.
Hindi naman eh. Mag-execute na siya dapat.
Hindi po siya nag-execute eh. Download okay lang.
Download okay.
Tapos, hello, sir.
Oh, so nasa indentation siguro yan. Okay, so I mean, let's double check. Pwede mo i-share yung screen niyo, sir? Sa kay ma'am siguro, para makita ko.
Sir, dalawang PC ako eh. Magkahiwalay.
Ganun ba?
Sir.
Sa'yo daw, sir. Check mo. I-share mo yung screen. Sa presenting ko, sa kay sir, para ma-troubleshoot natin. So, what's the problem?
Import time for time and range.
Okay. So, import time for I in range.
In range 10.
Okay.
Sir, kailangan ba walang space yon? Yung range tapos yung open close parenthesis na 10?
Dapat walang space.
Pero dapat mag-error siya, di ba? Pero hindi naman siya nag-error.
Okay lang, ma'am. It's built-in sa language. Kahit may space.
That's sleep.
Hello times sleep 1. Press mo daw, sir, yung Sir Norman, yung play. Yung play button. Sa right.
Download, okay lang din sa akin. Open ko nga ulit.
Sir.
Open. The one. Open.
Yan lang? Walang lumalabas?
Wala, sir.
Wala, sir.
Download okay.
Maging ganun.
Okay, play ulit. Disconnect mo lang ulit. Try to disconnect and connect. So, Norman.
Connect. Disconnect.
Connect ka. Connect ka muna. Then press the play. Ooh, important.
Please open serial. Dapat ganun, sir. Please open serial na sa akin.
Okay, disconnect. Reconnect lang din, ma'am. Basta ganun. Oh, for I in range, print hello times sleep 1.
Start nga i-open ulit. Open. Open.
Ayaw lumabas, sir.
Yung
Tama po ba yun?
Tama naman eh. Tama naman yung syntax. Command.
Yung syntax.
Yung syntax. Try mo daw open yung sa device.
Device.
Yeah, yung click. Tapos, double click mo yung hello 2Pi. Yan. Okay. Then, try mo siya. Yan ang i-run mo, sir.
Download okay.
Oh.
Pa rin.
So, sa syntax yan. Import time.
Import time for I in range 10. Print.
Colon.
Ano ba yung hello? Double, single? Double quote? Single quote?
Pwede po. Pwede yung double quote. Pwede din single quote. Same lang yan.
Walang kaso. Okay. Time that sleep 1.
Ito kay sir. Bakit kaya?
Ayaw lumabas ng hello, sir.
Ayaw lumabas ng hello eh.
Sa akin din, download okay lang.
Sir, paki-press mo daw yung 4, meron nakalagay na minus. I-collapse mo siya. Press mo siya. No, hindi pa. Yung minus, gawin mong plus. So, by clicking it.
Yan.
Okay naman, no? So, under naman for I in range.
Baka naman sa nakailang beses, ilang tab ka dyan.
Baka. Okay, sir.
Tab yan.
Modify mo yung tab siguro. Yung print, lagay mo sa...
Tapos yung tab ulit, isa pa.
So try mo lang
Try
dalawang space lang instead of tab.
time.
No, sir. Dalawang space instead of tab after the 4.
Yan.
Okay. Yan, try mo daw.
One,
Wala talaga, no?
two, three. Kailangan save. Okay.
Sir, pwede mag-suggest?
Yes, sir.
Click daw yung disconnect, tapos connect ulit.
Try mo daw,
Okay.
sir. Connect and disconnect.
Disconnect ko na.
Tapos connect ulit.
Connect
Okay.
ulit.
Sige, then play.
Play.
Oh.
Wala talaga eh.
Ganun pa din.
Di ko ma-replicate yung problem eh. Kasi kahit ginaya ko yung code nung yan magkalapit. Okay.
Sa'yo, sir, gumagana, Sir Jean?
Gumagana, sir eh. Kahit nakopihan ko yung the way nila finormat yung code, di ko ma-replicate yung problem talaga.
Okay, sir, Norman, try mo daw press yung, punta ka doon sa device tree, then right-click mo yung hello 2Pi. Yan.
Okay.
Tapos press mo yung run. Wala din, no? Okay, so
ko yung device, walang lumalabas na ganyan.
Also, sir, Norman, I think what we need to do is exit the UPyCraft and open UPyCraft again. So, may nangyayaring ganyan.
Okay, sige.
Okay pa. Try niyo pa.
Open. Try ko nga open agad. Open.
Sa'yo, Ma'am Melanie?
Ganun pa din, sir. Ganun din.
Ganun din?
Download lang.
Okay. So, gayahin nyo rin si Sir Norman. Try nyo exit yung UPyCraft, then open again.
Sir, yung kanina, nagbukas siya ng device. Tapos lumalabas yung file name niya. Bakit
Okay.
sa akin, hindi, ayun pala. Yung palang triangle ang kiklik. Kala ko yung device.
So, try nyo lang po exit ng UPyCraft, tapos enter ulit. So, those are the issues that happens.
Okay na, sir.
So,
Nagrara na.
Opo, nagpan na.
Okay, good. So, ganun ang mga trick, guys. Pag may mga bugs na nangyayari, yun lang, close the UPyCraft and open UPyCraft. Connect or disconnect. So, that's part of our life.
Okay ka naman, Mel? Lumabas na sa akin.
Hindi pa. Nawala na yung UPyCraft ko.
Saan po na sinave yung dinownload niyo po kanina?
Nawala. Ayan. Bukas na ulit.
Okay.
Okay, wait lang po. Open.
Kailangan lang pala mag-restart ka.
Ganun po, UPyCraft.
Sir, pag open, ganun lang, no? Open na yun, automatic. Tapos play na lang.
Play na lang.
So, ngayon, open serial naman. So, this connect na naman ako.
Mag-connect ka muna mo.
Connect, disconnect, tapos play.
Play.
Please open serial.
Baka hindi ka naka-open sa serial. So,
nagbi-blink na siya, sir, eh. So, nagko-connect siya, ibig sabihin.
Okay.
Ayan, ready. Ayan na, sir. Ay! Sir, may lumabas.
Ano lumabas?
Down, okay, pero nakalagay, exec, open, close, open, hello, red, and
Globals. Lead globals.
Tapos trace back, most recent call, last,
Okay.
std in, line 1 in module.
May error ka. May error po kayo sa code nyo. Check nyo po. Line 1.
Ano ba ang kailangan doon?
Import time.
Opo, tama naman.
For I in range.
Tapos yung 4, baka isang indent lang?
Yung 4 is, hindi siya naka-indent. Dapat same level siya with the import. Parang ganito, nasa screen.
Okay. Hindi po, yung line 4 ko po kasi is yung time that sleep.
Okay.
Ilan pong indent yun? Katapat niya po yung print.
Katapat niyo yung print. So because this is one block of code under the for loop.
Save, tapos play. Ayun.
Ayun na.
Ayun na, sir. Lumalabas
Okay.
na yung lumalabas.
Now, reminding everyone, hindi yan problema ng hardware. Walang problema yung hardware. May mga issues tayo with yung kagaya ng kay Sir kanina, hindi lumabas yung hello. Tapos, minsan, nag-i-error siya. Actually, walang problema yung hardware. Ang problema usually is the UPyCraft. Kasi yung UPyCraft, nagko-communicate via serial. So, usually, nagka-cut yung kanilang communication. Okay? So, ayun talaga. So, gagawin natin is, pag may error, exit, parang nare-refresh siya. Na? Okay? Sa other IDEs like Tony, meron din. Pero sa VS Code, I don't have these issues. So usually nasa UPyCraft siya eh. Okay. So anyway, ganun talaga, no? Because UPyCraft is created by the Chinese guys. So may mga bugs pa siya. But anyway, masasanay din kayo from time to time. So ganun lang, exit until tapos connect, reconnect. So if everything goes, and if everything is failing, you have the reset button, this one. The hardware reset para everything goes. Okay? So what have we done so far? So we have created a file which is hello2py, and we can run that in this. Now, I want you guys to go to this portion, so the device. And anong mapapansin nyo? So meron tayong bootpy, hellopy, hello2py. So sa inyo, maybe hello2 lang or something. No? So if I click this, okay, so mapapansin nyo, when I double click this and I double click this, okay, mapapansin nyo yung icon difference. This one is an integrated circuit. This one is an integrated circuit. While this one is a PC. Okay? And if you hover that, nakalagay ESP32 Micropython. So, and if you hover this, nakalagay .hellopy 2.py. So, anong difference nitong dalawa? Same file sila, pero different icons. So, the answer is actually this one is saved in your PC. Nasa hard drive ng PC mo. While this one is saved in the flash memory of the microcontroller. Okay? So, if you look at this device, if you do this, these are the various Python files na nakastore ngayon sa flash memory ng device. Okay? So, ito si bootpy at si hello2py nasa inside na ng flash memory. So, kahit tanggalin natin siya kahit tanggalin ko siya, okay, and then enter ko uli, and try ko connect. When I open it, nandun pa rin si hellopy and hello2py because na-save na sila sa microcontroller. So, yan yung reason why tinatawag dito download and run. That means, first, ida-download niya muna from the PC, tapos ira-run niya. Okay? So, pwede din na from that hello2py, gawin mo, punta ka sa tools, then download ka muna. So, when I do this, magda-download siya and press OK. So, what I've done is yung hello2py na inedit ko dito is actually ida-download niya lang muna. Okay, hindi niya pa ira-run. So, that's why ready to download and download OK. So, ito, pwede ko rin siyang gawin, go to tools, then download, and download OK. So, in that case, meron akong dalawang Python file sa aking flash memory. And of course, pwede ko rin siya i-run here. No? So, right-click ko lang, then run. Okay, so i-run niya na si hello. Okay? So again, ang kaibahan ni hello2py and this hello, ito nasa inside na ng microcontroller. Ito, nasa hard drive pa ng PC. Okay? So ito yung kagandahan din ng Micropython compared to Arduino or Arduino is meron siyang file system. That means pwede kang gumawa ng many Python scripts and pwede mo siyang palitan, pwede siyang so because yung flash memory niya is 4 MB. So pwede kang maglagay ng different files in the system. So pwede din na pwede ko siya i-delete. So delete okay. So that means inside my device wala na si Hello Pi. Okay. Okay. So pwede din in REPL, pwede kong tignan ko anong mga files na sa file system ko. So I use the OS module. When I say import OS, then OS dot list dir. So this command, OS list dir, will tell me the different Python script inside my microcontroller or inside my file system. So meron akong dalawang file, bootpy and hellopy. So pwede rin gawin kong os.remove and I say hellopy. And when I say os list dir, so nawala na si hellopy. So I call the remove function ni module os. So ang left na lang is hellopy. Now if so hindi siya nag-update. So when I click connect and disconnect, if you look at my device now, only bootpy na lang kasi ni-remove ko siya through the command line. Okay? So any questions so far? Everything's good?
Okay lang po.
Okay.
Yes po, okay na napalo po.
Okay na. So let's now go for the last activity today. Let's now play with the hardware. Okay. So yung ating microcontroller has a built-in LED. Okay? Meron siyang built-in LED naka-connect sa pin 2. So but before we go to that, let me just give you an overview of the GPIOs. Okay, so this is your microcontroller, the ESP32. If you look at the pinouts, meron siya nakalagay GPIO 23 or naka-print sa board. For example, this one, kung titingnan niyo, G23. Okay? Diba? I mean, okay, let's escape this one. So kung titingnan mo siya dito, may nakalagay na G23. Ito siya. Then may G something, no? So different Gs. So yung pin outs, okay, so these are the IO pins. So when may nakalagay na G23, G24, G7, so those are GPIO pins. Okay. Okay, so ito yung pinouts niya. So we have here, yung pinakamalapit sa USB, GPIO 06, GPIO 7. So ESP32 actually has 39 GPIOs. Okay, 39. No? So ito yung pinaka-last, 39. So 39, 34, 35. And each of these IOs stands for general purpose input-output. That means pwede siyang maging input, pwede mo siyang maging output. So kung input siya, siya tumatanggap ng data or ng signal. Kung output siya, siya yung nagpapalabas ng signal. Okay? So meron din tayong mga special IO pins like GPIO1 and GPIO3. So these are the transmit and receive pins. So ito siya, di natin siya pwede gamitin because nakakabit siya ngayon kay Scilabs. So in other words, yung computer natin, yung USB natin, dito nagko-communicate kay 01 and 03. So these are TX and X. So as much as possible, wala tayong ikakabit dito kay TX and RX kasi siya yung communication natin with the PC right now. No? But the rest, pwede siyang gamitin. And of course, there are other functions na pwedeng gawin ng GPIOs. No? Pwede siyang maging I2C, pwede siyang maging analog to digital converter, pwede siyang maging DAC, pwede din siyang maging touch pins. So may touch functionality ang GPIO, ang ESP32 kung gagawa ka ng applications na may mga touch interface. So kumbaga, lalagyan mo lang siya ng wire tapos pag na-touch yung wire, so magiging parang switch siya, everything. And so on and so forth. So this one, meron tayong special na GPIO which is isang LED which is connected to GPIO 02. Okay? So internally nakakabit siya kay 02. Okay? So how do we program the GPIO? Okay? So for example, for this code, from machine we import the pin module. From machine module we import the pin class. And then we define an object P0 pin, then ang pin number pin 0 and the direction is pin.out. And this command, once we have created the object, pwede mo nang i-modify yung value niya. So p0.value1. Then we create another object here, p2 equals pin2. This time, yung data direction niya is input. Compared to p0, that's output. And when you access the command p2.value and you put that in a print statement, magpiprint siya ng 0 or 1, depending kung anong value ng p2. Okay? And also, in the initialization, aside from the pin number, the pin data direction, we can also set yung pull up niya, kung pull up ba o pull down, or you can set the initial value. So the values can either be 1 or 0 or high or low. Okay? So let's try to play with the hardware now. So ang gagawin natin is, let's play here muna, no? Pwede mo siya i-try bago tayo gagawa ng pins. So I say import, let's say from machine, import pin. Okay, so let me magnify that one. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. So wrong spelling. Huh? So pwede ko siya i-run one line at a time. So let's say from machine import walang C. Machine import pin. Okay. So we imported from the machine module the pin class, and we define an LED. Let's say LED equals pin. Since internally meron tayong LED connected to pin 2, so we say 2. Then yung data direction niya is pin that out. Okay. So once we have that, we can then call LED.value 0. So this will make pin 2 connected to LED 0. So dapat mag-off yung LED, and when you call this LED value 1, mag-on din yung LED. Now, in this sa akin, hindi siya nag-on and off because I think the LED is busted. So parang ito. Okay. So try it yourselves na sa inyo, sa inyong mga microcontroller niyo. Try nyo run this one. So from machine import pin, LED equals pin 2, pin out, LED value 0, LED value 1. So try nyo po. See if what happens. Dapat may iilaw na LED.
Sir, I think si P2 is not connected sa LED.
Meron ba?
Kasi I tried connecting external na LED, gumagana, but
Okay.
di niya kayang i-drive yung nasa board.
Meron ba? Baka sa ano natin. Okay, sige. So, maybe di niya kaya sa board. So, yun na lang. So, let's try an external pin kagaya ng ginawa ni Sir.
So, sa akin gumana.
Gumana sa'yo? Okay.
Oo.
So, iba-iba, di ba? So, sometimes ang explanation is because naka-connect tayo sa USB. So, iba-iba yung power output ng mga USB ports natin. So, may mga USB ports na malakas yung nilalabas na kuryente. May mga USB ports din na mahina. Okay. But so, it's nice to know that sa inyo gumana. So, once you have that, so those yung gumagana, pwede nyo siyang i-modify. Let that value 0. So, dapat mag-off. And let that value 1 mag-off on. And so on and so forth.
Yes, yung gumana sa akin, pero blink lang siya, tapos namatay din agad.
Ganun. So, usually ganun din. So, I think that has an issue with our PCs. Okay, so, para sure, let's do the hardware, kagaya ng ginawa ni Sir. So, let's connect an LED to our system. Okay. Okay, so ang gagawin natin, meron tayong dalawang breadboard, di ba? Meron tayong dalawang breadboard sa kit. So, pag didikit natin sila, so may slot siya na pwede mo siyang idikit. Yan ito. Tapos, lagay natin yung ESP32. Something like that. So, hindi siya pwede sa isa kasi kung sa isa mo nalagay, hindi siya kakasya. Kaya dalawa nakalagay sa inyong kit. So, lagay mo siya dyan. Okay, so that means ito siya connected na and ito connected na. So, let's play with it. Let's say, saan natin lagay? Maybe sa akin, let's try, I put it in 13. Okay, 13. D12, for example, here. So anyway, this is a different microcontroller layout. No? So to check on your layout, so tingnan nyo na lang dun sa board mismo. May makikita kayong pin number. No? So let's kakabit natin sa pin 819. So this is 19. So kukuha tayo ng resistor. So in your kit, merong resistor. Diba? So lagay natin siya somewhere here. Example. Okay. And then merong LED. LED. Nice. Ayun. Okay. So take note of the polarity, no? So this one is positive, this one is negative. Usually yung mahaba, yung positive. So ang gagawin ko, yung positive, ilalagay ko ngayon yung positive sa power supply. Dito na lang siguro. And then meron tayong wires na yung male wires. So pwede nyo siyang ikabit. So let's say, so lagay ko from positive here. Wires. Lagay ko siya dyan. Okay. So this is V in, nakakonect sa positive ng LED. Tapos lagay ako ng wire from here. Lagay ko siya dyan. Okay. And then yung one side, the negative side, lagay ko sa whatever pins I have. So mine, nilagay ko sa 19. Oh, sorry. Okay. So that's it. So yung V in, or yung nakalagay sa board natin, it's actually V V5, no? V5 siya nakalagay. So kabit mo siya sa positive side ng LED, tapos yung negative ng LED, kabit mo siya sa resistor, yung 220 ohm na resistor. Tapos yung one side ng resistor, kabit mo sa desired pin. So sa akin nakalagay sa 19, so pwede kayong pumili ng iba't ibang connection. Okay? So let's try constructing the circuit.
Pwede patingin yung command ulit.
Okay. Command. Teka ulit. Yan.
Magpa-file nyo ba kami ulit? Or dito lang
Sir?
sa mismo? Magpa-file,
Mag,
yung new file ba ulit kami?
dito lang po mismo. Dito lang muna sa REPL.
Sa REPL.
Okay. So instead of 2, kung nilagay mo siya sa 19, so we can say LED equals pin dot, let's say 19, then pin dot out. Ganun. So yung sa akin, we have 19. Saan ba si 19? So ito yung sa akin connection.
Sir, yung isang resistor, saan nakakonect yun?
Sa ano po? LED.
Anong pin po? Doon sa ano?
So,
Sa
ikaw magpipili, ma'am. You can choose whatever pin. Let's say, for example, dito sa akin, nakakabit sa 19. So, pwede mo siya i-transfer kung anong mas convenient.
Pero sir, kapag 19 ang pinili mo dyan, dun sa program mo, sa code mo,
19 din.
19 din.
Okay, yeah, 19 din po.
Sir, mas preferable ba na i-sync yung current compared sa source natin?
Pwede din. Pero I prefer this method because mas you are mas free ka na mas malaking current dadaan sa LED. Because yung I/O kasi ng microcontroller, maximum niyan is around 20 milliamperes lang nilalabas. So kung ganun, kung instead of i-sync mo, i-source mo siya, yung baliktad yung connection, you are only up to 20 milliamperes. Whereas kung directo siya from positive, tapos yung isang portion nasa negative, you can have a leeway greater than 20 milliamperes. Kasi yung source niya galing na mismo sa main source, galing sa USB. So that's why when I connect pins, LEDs like this, I usually do this method. Kaya nga lang, baliktad, no? To turn on the LED, dapat naka-logic 0. To turn off the LED, to turn on the LED, naka-logic 1. So pwede din, you can experiment kung gusto mo i-try no source siya, no? So instead from the 5 volts. It will also work. Kaya nga lang, wala kang freedom on the amount of current na dadaan sa LED. And sometimes protection na rin siya kasi dapat hindi rin magdo-draw ng 20 milliamperes yung I/O pins dapat. Kasi kung sumobra ng 20 milliamperes, masisira yung I/Os. Yung mga transistors niya masisira. So, it's fairly common na yung mga IOs nung ESP32 nasira because of overcurrent. But anyway, isang IO lang, pag nasira, no problem. Yung ibang IOs nag-work pa lang naman. So that's one thing you have to consider also.
Thank you po, sir.
Okay? So
Sir,
I think
pa-check ng code.
okay, so I think if everything's good, so mine is I made it P19. So when I say let that value 1, so dapat to, or let that value so mag-off yung LED ko. And let that value 0 mag-on. Ganun.
Sir, yung LED equal to pin, tapos 2 yung nakalagay doon?
Yun yung kanina. 2 kasi. Pero later on, change ko na siya eh. Naging
okay.
19 na siya.
Okay po.
Okay.
So, doon ako sa 19. 19 yung.
19. So, kung saan mo nilagay, yan yung pin na lalagyan mo siya.
Ay, ilaw.
So, dapat iilaw. So, pwede mo na siya paglaruan. 1, mag-off. 0, mag-on. 1, mag-off.
Sir, patayin niyo ulit ng connection.
Ito, sa dito? Or sa fritzing?
Sa fritzing po.
Okay.
Let that fun.
So from V-in, yung positive side ng LED, tapos yung negative side nakakabit sa resistor, and yung isang end ng resistor, pili ka kung saang pin mo siya ilalagay.
Okay.
So sa akin, nasa 19. So you can choose whichever pin.
Sir, pag LED that value 1, nag-go-off siya.
O, dapat off siya. Pag ganito yung connection, off. Then kung 0, dapat nag-on.
Oo nga, sir. Ba't ganun?
Kasi baliktad siya eh. Baliktad yung connection ko eh. If you notice, yung isang resistor, yung negative ng LED nakakabit sa pin. Saka yung positive ng LED nakakabit sa positive. So, para mag-on siya, dapat...
Pag binaliktad mo yung LED mo, sir?
Hindi siya mag-on, I think. So, pero try mo lang. See if it follows. I think it will not follow. Try mo. So you can experiment if you want. And don't be afraid to experiment, ha? You're free to experiment. Pero I think, ma'am, I doubt it kung mag-work kung babalik ta rin nyo yung LED for this connection.
Gumagana po siya, sir.
Gumagana ba?
Yes po, okay naman po.
Okay. Sige. Okay.
Sir, pa-view nga ulit ng code. Wala eh.
Yan.
Wala, sir. Sir, pag dito sa, ano tawag dito sa editor dito sa baba?
Editor?
Yung yan, sir. Pag ang tawag dyan sa editor dyan?
REPL. Read Evaluate Program. Or simply known as the shell, the Python shell.
Dito, sir, sa Python shell, hindi siya hindi siya yung pwede ba i-copy?
Pwede.
Bakit nung kinopy ko nabura?
Right click. Ganyan, copy.
Oo, sir.
Paste.
Nabura. Bakit ganon? Nawala tuloy yung... Tapos, ang ginawa ko kasi, sir, plinay ko. Dapat pala enter lang.
So, pwede mo rin siya i-review. Just press the up and down button. Yeah, press ko yung up. So, magre-review siya. Okay. Press ko yung down. Magre-review.
Pag
Kung gusto mo siya i-repeat, up, down lang. Nangyayari lang yan dito sa REPL.
Oh, sir. Pero, wala na, hindi ko paano nasi-save yun, sir?
Ay, hindi na save yun siya kasi nasa REPL ka eh. So, kung mabubura siya. So, kasi yung REPL ang ginagamit na on the fly editing. Kung gusto mo siyang i-modify on the fly. So, dito ka nag-play. Pero kung gusto mo na magiging final na naka-save, so gagawa ka na dito sa taas. Tapos i-download mo siya sa microcontroller.
So ibig sabihin, sir, pag dito sa baba, sa REPL, sa Python shell, nawawala siya.
Mawawala siya, of course.
Oo, kasi na-disconnect ako, yung cable ko, nawala yung program.
Nawala yung program. So, for example, i-reset ko ngayon. Yeah, for example, i-reset ko. Yan. Okay, nag-error.
Nawala, sir. Wala eh. Pag ganyan, sir, pag nawala,
try mo reconnect ulit. Ayun.
Tapos, and dapat lalabas yun, di ba, sir?
Ayan. Reset ko
Wala eh.
Ayun.
Yeah.
So, nireset ko siya. So, ngayon, nawala lahat yun. So, nawala na. So, kung titignan mo, sabi ko LED, mag-error because walang LED na create. So, create ka na uli. Import from machine. Import pin. And LED equals pin. So, kinabit ko sa 19. So, sa inyo might be different. So, pin dot out. Ayun. So, meron ako LED object. So, pwede ko na siya i-on. LED dot value 0.
Kailangan pala, sir, lagi mong i-click yung yung COM port.
Oh, yeah. So, kung may mga communication problem, so click mo yung COM port or reconnect ka. So, yeah, that's correct. Okay? So, nag-on ka na, nag-off. Okay. So, while at it, meron na tayong hello pie kanina, di ba? Or itong hello pie. Let's now modify this. Instead of print, dito tayo mag-e-edit. So, para, ano na siya. So, from machine, import time. From import pin. Okay. And then, sorry, machine. And say LED equals pin. So I connect it to 19, then pin that out. Okay. So here, I say instead of print, I will just call it as LED.value 0. Okay. Time slip and then copy paste na lang. Right click, copy, then we have paste. Okay. So this is 0, this make it 1. Okay. So if we do this, yung hello to pi natin, instead of print ang ilalabas, it's a blinking LED that will run for 10 times. Okay. So let's change this. Okay. And of course, I can put hello to and download it. Okay. So pag ganyan nangyayari, connect, disconnect, and go to tools, download. So once download is okay, you notice yung hello to nasa microcontroller na. And once nasa microcontroller na, pwede ko siya i-right click, then run. So, pag na-run na, so if you notice, yung LED, nagra-run. Okay? So, try nyo rin siya. Instead of sa REPL, copy this code, and download, and then run. Okay? So, this will be our last activity before we go. So if you notice, 10 times lang siya, no? So pwede mo siya i-run uli. Kasi because of this, hanggang 10 lang. Okay. And let's say gagawa ako ng isang function. Let's say blink delay. And this function will do this. Copy ko lang. Okay, for I in range 10, delay. So lagay ko siya delay. And then, okay. So file, save. And tools, download. Okay, so once na download, I can now run hello. Okay, so invalid syntax. So line 13. Okay. So walang tab. The tab. So tomorrow we're going to discuss what is this tabs and the basic syntaxes in Python. So a brush through of the Python syntax for tomorrow's session. Okay, so download and let's run. Okay. So mangyayari, when you run it, this will blink 10 times. Okay. 1, 2, nice. Yan. So lalabas na siya. But for this one, after blinking, may define akong function na blink. So once na run na siya, nasa memory na yung blink, I can call blink anytime. So let's say blink 0.5. So magbe-blink siya at a rate of 0.5 seconds. Okay. So if I make it blink 1, so yung delay niya ngayon, which is an argument to the blink, is the argument for the sleep. So this will be having a delay of 1 second. And this will be repeated 10 times. Okay. Okay. So i-modify ko ulit. Kung gagawin ko siyang 2, so 2 milliseconds yung delay. So this is the beauty of Python. If you notice, meron ako isang script na nag-define ako ng function. Then once naka-run na siya, nagra-run na yung function, ay yung script, nasa memory na, that means pwede ko siya i-call anytime dito sa REPL. Okay, so ito yung plus bonus sa Python. That means you can play right away. You don't need to recompile your code and change code, recompile, download, change code, recompile, download. You can recompile, you can change it on the fly. If you notice, wala tayong compilation from time to time. So all we have to do is download lang diretso. Okay, so yan. So if gagawin ko siyang 0.1, so that's faster. Kung 0.05, okay. Faster pa. Okay. Okay. So hope you can try this, guys, in your codes. So anyway, so our time is up. So almost 4:30. So if you have any questions for this session.
Sir, yung code yung gamit yung UPyCraft, sir, kapag dinownload siya tapos nireboot natin yung device, hindi nasa store yung device at yung code sa ano?
As long as kung hindi mo siya di-download. Pero kung na-download mo siya, like for example ito, Hello Pi, I check tools, download. Okay. So pag nag-download okay, tapos chinek mo yung device, andun siya. So kahit mag-reset ka, i-reset mo siya. Okay. Kung titingnan mo uli yung device, andun pa rin. Okay. So once na-download na yung file inside the microcontroller, hindi ma-erase na yon pag nag-reboot ka or nag-off or off. Okay. Hope I answer your question.
Okay po. Pero mayroon po tayong directives para i-force na siya yung i-run during boot. Tama ba?
Oh yeah, meron. We will discuss that tomorrow.
Okay po.
So gagawin mo siyang main file.
Sige po, sige po.
That will be for tomorrow.
Sige po.
Kasi I think information overload na tayo ngayong araw. So
sige po. Sige.
Okay, so good question din, sir. Okay, any other questions? So
Sir,
yeah.
gusto ko po sanang magtanong kaya lang. may defense po kasi ako ng 4:30.
Yeah, I know. So dapat mag-off na tayo eh. So I respect your time also.
Bukas papaturo ako sa'yo, hindi ko pa makapagana eh.
Okay, so tomorrow. So okay, so we will start again tomorrow at 1:30. So reserve your questions for tomorrow so that we can call it a day off today. And for those na gusto pa mag-continue, then feel free to continue. Anyway, yung binigay namin na tutorial, yung naka-link na tutorial from the website, pinakita kanina, you can follow that one. Kung hindi nyo masyado nasunod nyo ngayon, doon naka step by step yung steps natin ngayon. Okay?
Okay po.
Okay, so see you tomorrow and thank you for participating.
Okay po,
Thank you,
salamat
sir.
po.
Bye.
Thank you po sa mga participants. Meron po pala tong replay sa YouTube channel.
Okay.
Ng e-Gizmo. Kung gusto nyo balikan. Yan.
Okay, so see you.
Okay na po. Thank you, sir.